What's up, everybody? We're live. And today we have a special link. We're going to be able to be live on Instagram today. Exciting. So I can't wait to connect with you all there. Let's see if it's actually working. Look at that. It's working. This is fun. Okay, so I'm holding the best holiday gift I could think of right here. So this is the book Cyrus and I wrote together, and it teaches you how to reverse insulin resistance permanently. That's the key word, permanently. We're looking to address the root cause of blood glucose fluctuations, all right? So in the chat box, I would love to know where you're coming from. I'd love to know what type of diabetes you're living with. And we'll start there. And then today we're going to talk about some holiday stuff, and we're going to have some fun. So I can see Instagram up on my phone here. So where are you coming from? What type of diabetes are you living with? Let me know in the chat box. And I'm also curious, like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing for the holidays coming up? Like, do you have New Year's plans? Like, are you going to be, keeping it healthy, right? We have type 2 from Boynton Beach, Florida. That's on Instagram. We have Ramona, Georgia, type 2. Michael, type 2. Okay, excellent. Let's see. Who else do we got here? Who else do we have? Good to have you guys with us. So also, I want to know how many of you have read the book. How many of you read the book? I'm curious. All right. We have Denise, pre-diabetes. We have Anthony, type 2. We have Rhode Island, Lada. Okay, Lada's latent autoimmune diabetes. It's also known as type 1.5 diabetes. Okay. Looks like we have gestational diabetes. We got type 1 on Instagram. So I love it. This is fun. This is super fun that we can actually go live on Instagram now. This is great. So the topic that we have for today is diabetes and beyond. And the reason we're talking about that is because when you focus on reversing insulin resistance, you are addressing multiple conditions simultaneously. Okay? So this is a fun one. I want you to put the letter T in the chat box. T in the chat box if any of the following is true for you. If any of the following is true. You want to lose weight. You want to lower your fasting blood glucose. You want to lower your A1C. You want to lower your cholesterol, lower your triglycerides, lower your blood pressure, and also potentially reverse fatty liver disease. If any of that is T, any of that is true, put T in the chat box. Okay, so I'm seeing plenty of T's already on Instagram. And yeah, they're coming in. So that's the point here. Okay, so when we talk about this method where you're going to follow a low-fat, plant-based whole food diet, right? What's going to happen is you are going to be addressing all of those concerns simultaneously. You don't need to do something different, okay, to address the cholesterol issue that you need to do to address the fact that you're looking to drop some weight, or the fact that maybe your triglycerides are high, your blood pressure is high. It's one mindset, which is that you're going to make lifestyle choices that make insulin work more efficiently. And one thing that people really don't understand right now in our current, wellness culture is that the vast majority of people are living with insulin resistance and they don't even know it, right? So your A1C could be in a good place. You might go to your doctor, A1C is 5.5. The fasting blood glucose on that blood work was 88. Like, everything looks good. But what they didn't do is they didn't test your fasting insulin, okay? And if you did an oral glucose tolerance test, it would likely reveal some insulin resistance. It's a spectrum. Talking about a spectrum here when it comes to insulin resistance, all right? And so it is much easier to turn it around the faster you make changes, right? Like, don't let it get to a really bad place. Let's not let it progress, all right? Let's make the changes now, right? So I was actually just talking to somebody who just signed up for our coaching program. And she's a wonderful woman. And she was talking about how, she's gonna like enjoy her like Christmas meal and New Year's meal. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, let's reestablish like what's worth it, what health is your greatest wealth, guys. I know it's such like a cliche term, but it's just so true. It's just so true. All right. Like at some point, you get to a place where it's like, you know what? These foods that are unhealthy, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Right. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about reversing insulin resistance. Okay. Now, how do you do that? Do that through low-fat, plant-based whole food nutrition. Most people are not aware of how much fat they're consuming and how that is impacting their overall health. Most people just don't know. Like if I asked you how many grams of fat did you consume yesterday, most people wouldn't know the answer. If I said, what percent of your calories yesterday was coming from dietary fat, most people wouldn't know the answer. Okay. And that's okay. That's okay. But learning that information will be very valuable. So actually, I wanna highlight this point with a graphic that we have in the book, which talks about the purpose of the graphic is to help people understand how much fat is in high-fat foods. All right, let's see. How's this? Hopefully this appears well on Instagram. Okay. This is a picture, this image right here. Let me see if I can get this better on the screen. Okay, there we go. There we go, that's better. Okay. There it is. At the very top, it says, eat all of these foods to consume 15 grams of fat. Okay? That is an entire day's worth of food. There's an apple and a banana for some snacks. All right. There is a breakfast meal of a tropical fruit salad. There is a lunch meal of curried red lentils over fluffy quinoa. And there's a dinner meal of greens and beans. These are all recipes that are in the book. The book has 2 meal plans, depending on how insulin resistant you are. So we have a quiz in the book, and you answer the quiz questions, and you figure out your level of insulin resistance, and then you pick a meal plan. All right, in the book, and then some of these recipes will be in there. Okay, so at this entire day of food, a total mass is 5 pounds 6 ounces. That's the total weight. Now, most people eat somewhere between like 3 to 5 pounds of food per day. So just so you know, when you follow the Mastering Diabetes method and you're eating a bunch of whole foods, you are actually you're actually able to eat more food. Like the total volume of food that you get to consume increases when you're following a low-fat, plant-based whole food diet. And the reason is because, as you can tell, hopefully you can see in the images of these are like, drawings, right? But the purpose of the drawings is to show you that these are very abundant meals. Okay, this is like large volumes of food that's being consumed, and so that helps you feel satisfied. And the reason you get to eat more food is because there's so much water and fiber in the foods. Okay, so 5 pounds 6 ounces. All right, now the entire day is 15 grams of fat. I know it's probably hard to see. It's really small. If I can move my hand. 15 grams of fat right there. Okay, that's the entire day. And that includes your breakfast. Your breakfast there, a tropical fruit salad. That breakfast, it says 9 grams of fat. I know it's hard to read, but it says 9 grams of fat. And that's because there's chia seeds in that. And it's helping you get your essential fatty acid requirement, which we talk about in detail in the book. All right. So now on the bottom part of the screen, there are 9 different foods shown. Each one of them is 15 grams of fat. Okay, so you can have 1 tablespoon of olive oil. That's 15 grams of fat. That's the same amount of fat that you got in an entire day's worth of eating. So I hope that it really helps land the point here, which is that very small quantities of high-fat foods are a problem when it comes to helping you keep your fat intake truly low, okay? Truly low. And when we say truly low, we're talking no more than 15% of your total calories coming from fat. Another way to think about that is if you just kept it under 30 grams total per day, you're going to be in good shape. The only people that doesn't apply to is if like you eat a very small number of calories, then the total amount of fat is probably going to be lower than 30. Somebody says, I thought I'm supposed to only count carbs. Well, your name here is Ghost. That's funny. But if you want to maximize your insulin sensitivity, it's very, very important and valuable to learn and count the amount of fat you're consuming, right? And that's what you learn when you read this book. Somebody asks, is the book available in ebook? Yes, you can get a Kindle, you can get a Nook. Wherever digital books are sold, you'll find this book. You could also read the audiobook or listen to the audiobook. It's on Audible. And you can get a paperback version on Amazon. That's the least expensive version. And you can probably find it at your library. And if it's not at your library, you can ask them to get it. They should be able to get it through interlibrary loan. You should really have no problems getting your hands on the book. Okay? It's a great holiday gift as well. Now, back to these foods. The next one listed is sesame seeds. Less than an ounce, so 0.9 of an ounce, right? 9/10, okay? Is 15 grams of fat. Peanut butter, 1.8 tablespoons provides 15 grams of fat. Almonds, 1.1 ounces, 15 grams of fat. Coconut meat, 1.6 grams, or 1.6 ounces is 15 grams of fat. Swiss cheese, 1.7 ounces, okay? Avocado, 3.5 ounces. Like that's like a 3/4 of a decent sized avocado. Eggs, I think it says, I can't even read it, 5 ounces, okay? Salmon, 6.5 ounces, right? So every one of those 9 foods is 15 grams of fat. And it's really, really important to learn about this. And we go into detail in the book. And it's simple, but it's not easy. That's the bottom line. It's so simple. Like I can truly basically tell you what to do, the basics, the core of it, in a 1-minute explanation, right? It's very simple. Now, there are a lot of nuances. There are particularly nuances when it comes to getting out of the insulin resistant state. That is true, right? That's a big deal. So when people are just starting out, right? You're brand new to this and you're very insulin resistant and you're starting to eat your way out of that state. People see a lot of spikes. Put the letter S in the chat box if you currently see spikes when you try and eat carbohydrate-rich foods. Put the letter S in the chat box. Does that happen to you? Like you're like, hey, I read the book. I see your recipes. I see what you guys are doing. I decided to try some mangoes, and then boom, I saw a blood glucose spike. Like I tried to eat some potatoes, it didn't go so well. Tried to eat some oats, it didn't go so well, right? So Instagram, the S's are coming in. So here's the deal. You can prevent that. You can prevent that. And the key thing, there's going to be a couple keys, all right? Number one, you really do have to make sure the diet is low in fat. Like it's the spike is, in the vast majority of cases, is a reflection of the foods you've eaten in the past few days, the past few weeks, and just even over the past months and years of the accumulated excess dietary fat. That's what's happening when that spike is occurring. So that's number one. But then once you've taken care of that, like I'm in the transition, I truly am keeping it low in fat. Okay, well, what next? Well, in the next thing is, are the carbohydrates that you're consuming whole food carbohydrates? So we have a list. I'm actually curious if here it is. It's in the appendix. The appendix, we list all the green light foods. Okay. Master list of green light foods. And this is all from the USDA nutrient database. That's where we got these. And everything listed here, all the foods that are listed in this section are whole foods. The only thing that would be an exception is when, we list like herbs and spices or something. But the carbohydrates that you're consuming are going to come from whole foods. And the whole food means it's water and fiber, high in water, high in fiber. All right. And so that is going to help blunt blood glucose spikes. That's huge. Now, the next thing is let's make sure that when you're eating those carbohydrate-rich foods, you are including greens and non-starchy vegetables. And so when we provide you with the recipes, you just follow the recipe and you're good. You know it's got the right amount of greens and non-starchy vegetables because we provided it to you. Okay? Then, once you have the greens and the non-starchy vegetables, then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to make sure you're eating at a reasonable pace. If you eat a meal in like 5 minutes, if you could just make the adjustment to eat that meal in 8 minutes, eat that meal in 10 minutes, just that level of adjusting the pace at which you're eating the meal can have a significant reduction in blood glucose spikes, particularly when you're insulin resistant. As you become more insulin sensitive, you get away with it a little bit more. But even then, you still can't just like scarf down the carbohydrates, even with the greens. It's just not going to work. So you got to eat a little slower, and then making sure you're moving your body. Walking after meals is huge. It's absolutely huge. Game changer. Walking after meals. And then you also have the option of just making sure you're doing consistent, legitimate fitness. So in the book, when we talk about exercise, there's an entire chapter on exercise, the science of exercise and blood glucose control. It's all in the book. But we are going to help you work your way towards 6 days a week. All right, 6 out of 7 days. We want you to move your body for a minimum of 30 minutes, and we want you to lose your breath. So you're going to work towards that. Not everybody's going to go there overnight. Some people are doing nothing right now. And that's okay. You start walking, things are going to change. Things are going to change very fast. All right. So movement is key. It's all part of the Mastering Diabetes method. There's 4 components to the method. Okay. And it's the revolutionary method to reverse insulin resistance permanently. So there's 4 components. The first component is low-fat, plant-based whole food nutrition. The second component is intermittent fasting. Then the third component would be exercise. And then we have this concept called decision trees. All right. So decision trees, that is another game changer. Absolutely game changer. It's our version of a diabetes logbook. But what we've done is we've helped you really objectively connect how your fat intake impacts your blood glucose levels. That's what a decision tree helps you do. Big time. Like it's really, 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 really powerful. Really powerful. Okay? So it's good stuff. I just got this notification. It says connect to comment. Connect your YouTube account to join the live chat. That sounds fun. Maybe I'll do that next time. But there we go. That's right. They introduced the Decision Tree Journal. So we have a journal, right? So you could order this, and then it gets mailed to your house, and you start filling out the decision trees. It's very powerful. I mean, it's hard to put into words how powerful that thing is. That's why I made it as part of the method, right? So, guys, this has been super fun. I hope some of you have gotten some insights that you're going to put into action. If anybody has any dying questions you really want to answer, there we go. We got one. So far, since following your information, I have managed to lose 21 pounds in 3 months, and my reading has been about 6.8 to 5.6 for the last 3 months. I was talking to another person that told me keto is the way to go, but your program seems to work for me. Dennis, that's fantastic. Congratulations, Dennis. I think I remember your picture. I think I've seen you before. I'm glad to have you here with us. Keep going and keep inspiring others. You're doing great. Can someone eat more protein and plant and still bring down A1C? Rachel, great question. So protein is a hot topic. Okay, protein is a hot topic. And, what we do at Mastering Diabetes, our passion, why we exist, why Cyrus and I created this, is really for the personalized coaching. I mean, we provide a lot of information. We have a lot of resources. We have this book. It's fantastic to help people through those avenues. But when we started the company, it's like, the one thing that we thought was missing in the marketplace was if you wanted to follow this particular low-fat, plant-based whole food diet, which has been demonstrated decade after decade in the peer-reviewed research to be the way to go. And you wanted personalized coaching, you wanted somebody to help you one-on-one, it just didn't really exist. It wasn't out there. So we decided, we're going to create it. And so obviously protein is a big topic that we have been able to work with a lot of people on navigating and helping them get their protein needs met. And here, the bottom line is, it's very, very difficult, almost impossible to become protein deficient if you're consuming enough calories from whole foods. It's almost impossible. So getting enough protein is just it's not really a big deal. But here's the thing. Through the personalized coaching process, we help people optimize their protein intake to their satisfaction. And there is a lot of different ways to do that, whether that's going to be through certain foods, certain increases in greens and non-starchy vegetables. And some people, they want to do protein powder. And you're like, okay, great, you want to do that? We're going to get you the best one and help you navigate that and figure out how that impacts your blood glucose. Too much protein will cause blood glucose spikes. They're delayed blood glucose spikes. Again, this has been clearly demonstrated in the literature, okay? So the bottom line is you can meet your protein needs in a million different ways, and you can lower your A1C on a low-fat plant-based whole food diet. No question, all right? I have a question. What chemical in the environment is causing the body to overproduce DS1 enzyme? The flooding of the cells, that question I do not have the answer to, Dan. Sounds like a fascinating topic. Maybe I should look for some research papers on it. Ghost says, I'm allergic to all nuts and most seeds. Makes it hard because it's suggested to help lower your sugar. Ghost, I highly, highly suggest you buy this book. Because if you buy this book and you read it, you wouldn't ask that question. It's kind of a blessing that you're allergic to nuts and seeds because we want you to minimize those. And having none is just fine. No problem there. Do you have any advice for giving into temptations for things that have no oil but white flour? The best thing I can give is connecting with your why. It's something we wrote about in this book. Connecting with your why, establishing some SMART goals, SMART being specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely, and doing your best in those challenging moments to connect with that why and connect with those goals. And hopefully they're more meaningful than any short-term hit that you get from eating something that is not going to serve you in the long term. That's the best suggestion I can give. Somebody's asking what causes elevated C-peptide. An elevated C-peptide would actually be a good thing. That'd be a good sign. That would mean that your pancreas is it's in overdrive, right? It's overworking, but it's still producing enough insulin, and that's great. As a person living with type 1 diabetes, I would give a lot to have an elevated C-peptide. That would be amazing. So I'd love to have my pancreas working. So if you have an elevated C-peptide, you get the chance to optimize your insulin sensitivity and bring that down into a healthy range, and so your pancreas doesn't have to overwork. All right. What's the best range for C-peptide? We have an article on the topic. Just Google mastering diabetes C-peptide. We also put it in the index. But you're going to want to be somewhere between 1 and 2. That's probably fine. But again, it's hard to answer that question without other context. Okay, like you're living with type 1 diabetes? Well, in that case, the expectation for the C-peptide is not very much. Okay, so that article at the very bottom, you could click interpreting your C-peptide lab results. And that there you go, right there. And then scroll down a little bit, and then that'll show you a big box. If you keep going, it's going to be a box. And that box is also in the book right there. That's the box. So if you're between 1 and 2, you should be okay, as long as you don't have any antibodies, right? If it's high, again, that's a good sign. It's time to optimize, right? C-peptide is important. It's really, really, really important. The name of that article is it's the most important blood test for diabetes. So check it out. Okay, let's see. We'll answer a few more questions. Does B12 vitamins fast dissolve help lower blood sugar? I'm not sure I understand that question, but I do recommend getting your B12 tested. I'd get your MMA tested and your homocysteine tested. That's an important trifecta that any knowledgeable healthcare professional could help you interpret and understand and make sure your B12 is in the right place. And supplementing is usually a good idea. I take B12. Do you have any recommendations for powerhouse microgreens or sprouts to grow? Yeah, there's this company called the Sprouting Company. My friend Doug Evans is involved, and they have an amazing sprouting device. So I would grow your own sprouts, and I would do it with the Sprouting Company sprouter, and they have seeds. It's fantastic. So check it out. I'm so grateful to God and book Mastering Diabetes helped me to be consistent in eating healthy and losing weight. It caused my A1C to 5.8. I'm still working on me every day to be healthy. Annie, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Let's make it a great holiday season, and let's go into 2024 and keep that energy going. Let's go. RP, appreciate you. Thanks for being here. It's fantastic. You know what? We'll end it on that, guys. So thanks for being here. I'm so glad we could go to Instagram today. So it worked, and I could see the comments. Oh, you know what? Actually, I completely forgot to look at the questions that came on Instagram. They kind of like scroll by pretty quickly. I was looking at the ones that are coming on Facebook and YouTube. I've been 99 to 100% green light and low fat for the last 6 months with an A1C down to 6.4 for type 1.5. But my LDL went up with even the omelet. Any suggestions or herbs? Okay. Your LDL went up. I would send us an email. I'm curious. Send us an email, see if we can help you. And also, I highly recommend there's this organization called Love Life Telehealth. It can be worth it to work with a telehealth doctor to help you interpret things and dig into some details. Okay. All right. So next time I'm gonna have to pay closer attention. I have to like maybe prop up my phone or something so I can like see these questions easier. But if I missed any questions on Instagram, I apologize. One says, do you have a recommendation for endocrinologists in the US? I will answer that one. Yeah. So I recommend that you go through Love Life Telehealth. That's where I would go. They're not particularly endocrinologists, but they definitely have the medical knowledge and experience to help people with diabetes and insulin resistance and blood glucose control. So highly, highly recommend Love Life Telehealth. You can just Google it. This is the website, as you can see on the screen. In the top, you can just click appointments. Yep, click appointments. And then you scroll down, you select which state you're in, and then you can book an appointment with a lifestyle medicine physician who totally understands everything we talk about in this book, totally understands how the idea of addressing the root cause rather than just going straight to medication, right? Sometimes medication is necessary, it's no problem, but sometimes there's a path of prevention, okay? All right, so, it's always hard to end these because you could just like keep on talking. But there's one more comment. I've been type 1 eating plant-based for 8 years. I've noticed that anytime I get a cut or scrap, it scars and doesn't heal. Any tips? Okay, I don't know the answer to that one, but if it's like become a serious problem, I would check with the Love Life team. Check with Love Life doctor and get some like a full blood work panel. That's what I would suggest. Okay, guys. Happy holidays. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next time.